Okay, guys, this is this week's bell ringer. For capitalization, we have in 1986, the Superman series was retitled The Adventures of Superman. We would capitalize in because it's the beginning of the sentence. We would also capitalize the Superman in series because this is the title of the series. We would include the, even though it's usually considered an unimportant word, but we would include it because it starts our title. Then it was retitled, so again, another title, The Adventures of Superman. So we would include the capitalization of the, adventures, and Superman. Of would not be considered one of those important words, so it would not get capitalized. The last thing we need to do is put quotes around our titles to show that they are, in fact, things that we read. Okay, so the Superman series would get the quotes, and it was retitled The Adventures of Superman. Number 2, we have Bruce Wayne's address is 1007 Mountain Drive, Gotham City, New Jersey, 07000. The first thing we should notice is that the address belongs to Bruce Wayne. To show possession, we know we need an apostrophe. Just a reminder that our apostrophe rules are, if you have one owner, then it's apostrophe S. If you have 2 or more owners, then it's S apostrophe. So since Bruce Wayne is simply one person, we would put the apostrophe before the S. Now, when it comes to addresses, normally on an envelope or a letter, we would have this set up here. The name, then the address, then the city, state, and zip code. The same thing kind of applies when we list it out this way, but each time we move to a new line, we get a comma. So here, 1007 Mountain Drive would be our address. We're moving to the next line on the letter, so here we would put a comma after the street address. Then we have Gotham City, which is the name of our city, and we know we separate cities from states with commas. So Gotham City, comma, New Jersey. Then on a normal envelope, we would not put a comma between state and zip code, so we do not put a comma between state and zip code here. We simply need the period at the end. For parts of speech, we have Joker and Riddler, plotted and schemed. Well, we know that the Joker and the Riddler are who we're talking about. They are essentially what our sentence is about. That makes them our subjects, so they get the S. They are also people, villains, so they get the noun because nouns are people, places, and things. So Joker and Riddler are both subject nouns. Then we ask ourselves, what did the Joker and Riddler do? Well, they plotted and they schemed. Both are things that we do or actions, so they are verbs. But they do not plot anything or plot in a certain way. So the action of the verb actually stops with the verb. That makes it an intransitive verb. Trans means to move. In means not. So we're not moving that action anywhere else in the sentence. Okay? So schemed works the same way. They're not scheming something or scheming in a certain way, so it is also an intransitive verb. And we know that and is always a fanboy. Okay, just a reminder of our fanboys. If we spell out fanboys, we know F stands for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. And all of these together are conjunctions. Ooh, it's hard to write. Okay. They are conjunctions. So over here, we label them both as C's. When we diagram more than one, we need to make sure we do our 2 parallel lines. I like to think of them as bunk beds, okay? They're doing the same job, so these bunk beds are chained together, but our first subject noun would go on the top bunk, and our second on the bottom bunk because they have to go in the order that they appear in the sentence. We know they're linked together, so we do our dotted line to chain them together. And then we know we have to come back to that dividing line here between our subject and our predicate, which makes a little triangle. When we do that, we know our conjunction or our fanboy goes inside that triangle to show that the link is actually with the word and. The same thing goes for plotted and schemed. We have two intransitive verbs. So we would do our two parallel lines. We would link them together, which I know is kind of hard to see, but there is a dotted line there. And then the link would be our and, because we have an and in the sentence. So every word is accounted for in the diagram. Number 5, the comic was stolen. The comic was the first issue of Action Comics. The comic was valued at over $4 million. First thing we look for is repetition. If we look for repetition, we notice that this comic was is the same idea as the comic was. So we can get rid of that. Then we look for definitions. Well, the comic is being defined in two ways here. It's defined as the first issue of Action Comics, and it's defined by its value at over $4 million. I can take a definition and I can create in a positive phrase. I do that by starting with what it is I'm going to define. I'm defining the comic. Then I put a comma. Then I write the definition. The first issue of Action Comics, I could say and valued at over $4 million, but really it sounds better without it now that I'm proofreading. So the comic, the first issue of Action Comics valued at over $4 million, that's the end of my definition, so I need another comma. And then what do I know about it? It was stolen. So was stolen gets added at the end. And that's our Grammar for Tuesday. If you have any questions, please let me know.